Hi, dear viewers. I've amassed a stack of orders from Tokyo and various parts of Japan. Most of these are Suragaya orders, one Mandarake order. So I figured I would open these up for our mutual entertainment. Some of these orders now date back several weeks to the extent that I have mostly forgotten what's even in all of these boxes. So let's go on a little adventure together. We'll start with the Mandarake order because I think this is the oldest of the orders I've got here. I think there might be some adult oriented stuff in here, but I honestly don't recollect. Let's see if I can pull out. They've heat sealed the contents to the bottom of the box, so oops. All right. The hand will help me point out this. It's "'Tis Time for Torture" princess figure. The reason why I bought this figure, even though at this point I've still only watched half of the TV anime, is because this figure was really cheap. It was 500 yen. So this figure of He-Man was like $3, 350, something like that before shipping. And I also already have, I think there are 3 figures in this series. The other is one of them is the demon girl, the torturer girl. And forgive me that her name has slipped my mind right now. But I have her, so I figured I would get the matching main character. Now, what do we got here? VTuber Legend. I really did like the VTuber Legend anime quite a bit. So when I saw that there was a figure of, once again, her name slip. Okay, Kokoroge Awayuki-san. When I saw that there was a figure of her in her VTuber dress, I figured I would get this. Now, I don't know if I'm ever going to bother to open this, but it makes me happy to know that I have it. Let's see here. I think I can show this. There's no very graphic nudity on this cover. Minishiku Inarimushi Dojinshi. I have somewhere a half dozen, maybe 8 or so dojinshi from this artist, but I did not have this one, and this one was 400 yen, so pretty affordable. Picked up another one of the Maverick Productions 70s Japanese Superman comics. I pick these up when I can get them affordably, because I have not had a dealer table at a local comic show or convention in 2 or 3 years now. But I figure at some point I will probably get a dealer table at some local convention again, and I will put up a bunch of these for sale. I believe, yes, this is the first issue of Comic Dengeki Daio. Dengeki Daio has published was the origin of a number of very well-known moe, anime, and bishoujo anime television series. I thought it was. I don't know that there were any memorable. I don't know that there were any famous manga series that premiered in the first issue, but this first issue was only $1. So I thought it would just be interesting to have since it was available at like it was 200 yen, so it's like $1.50. Let's see. All right. I am still trying to complete a set of all the Saigato Dojinshi. There is no nudity on this one, so I should be able to freely show this on on YouTube. This one was 1,500 yen, so a little bit more expensive, but again, I collect Saigato Dojinshi. This one, alright, the front cover I can show. The front cover has no graphic nudity on it. The back cover, I would have to censor a bit, so I'm not going to bother. Shikujo Monologue, another Saigato book. This one was only 600 yen, so I'm much happier with the price on this one. And, okay. Regrettably, I'm going to have to censor most of this cover, but this is the book that I made the order to get. This is HNK Circle. This was one, I think they have published 3 Dirty Pair Dojinshi. I previously did not own any of them, but this one came in stock at 1,000 yen, so I made an order specifically to get this Dirty Pair Dojinshi. Now, this is a Futa Dirty Pair Dojinshi, if you happen to know what that means. So, not exactly my taste, but I'm still willing to try to collect any Dirty Pair Dojinshi I can get a hold of. And, let's see, I don't even remember what this is. So, let's see, what is this? This is a pair of, I guess you'd call it a pair. Technically, I think Mandaraki refers to these as opera glasses. Clearly, it's a tiny little pair of binoculars. However, I believe these are from a Girls and Panzer event. The logo here is Girls and Panzer. I really dig novel anime merchandise. Since Girls and Panzer is a sort of military-esque anime, I like the branding, the collaboration of Girls and Panzer with military-esque binoculars. These were fairly inexpensive. Let's see. 800 yen. 800 yen for girls and tanks and a pair of binoculars. Yeah, I thought that was just neat enough that I'm happy to spend $5 or $6 on this. So, let's move on to the Suraga various orders. So, as I have mentioned before, Suraga nowadays almost perpetually offers free express international shipping. So there's very little downside to making small orders. And compared to Mandarake, Suraga prices are a little bit higher. However, when you consider that you're not paying exorbitant international express shipping fees, Suraga becomes much more affordable. So, in this order, a Jujutsu Kaisen Shikajiki. This is one of many, but Nobara is the character that I dig, so that's why I bought just her. remember that I mentioned that I have intentions to someday go to another local comic or anime convention. Well, this is a Japanese Disney comic manga magazine. I thought this was interesting. It was available very affordably, so I picked it up figuring that I'd be able to possibly resell this. And I picked this up also. I think this was, I don't even remember what I paid for this. This is one of the commemorative UCC Evangelion coffee collaborations. I believe this was a promotional sort of item, so I believe that the can was empty from the outset. This one, I think, never actually had coffee in it. But I think I paid somewhere around $5 for this one. I'm pretty sure I already have one set of these for my own personal collection, but I picked up another one just because at the price, this is the kind of thing I can put on a convention dealer table someday. Next order. Let's see what's in here. Okay, similarly, as I said, I tend to acquire some things with the intention of possibly trying to resell them. I have a handful of copies of the first Japanese Jim Lee era X-Men Japanese edition comic, but I picked these up also when I can get them very affordably. And again, this one was like under $5. So I've got a small stack of these now that I intend to offer up for sale someday in the future. Let's see. This particular issue of Jump Square magazine is the first appearance of Kawaii Sugi Crisis. Some of you may remember that I believe it was late last year. Kawaii Sugi Crisis was an anime, well, based on a manga, an anime TV series about aliens that were threatening to destroy the Earth until they discovered that the Earth is home to the cutest creatures in the universe. Things like red pandas and panda bears and baby seals and cats and puppies. Now, the anime wasn't a huge hit, although I did like it. And the manga isn't one that I was specifically looking for, but I did notice that this magazine with the first appearance of the manga was available very affordably. This was, again, something like $5 or something like that. So I figured that, I enjoyed the anime since the manga first appearance was available. I'd happily pick it up just to add this to my collection. Here, again, as I mentioned, I pick up the Japanese Disney manga magazines when I can in hopes of possibly selling these. Maybe I'll take them to a comic store and trade them or whatever. I mean, again, they're just items that you don't see in America very often. There are Disney collectors that might be interested in something like this. Maybe I make a couple bucks off it. And this, I believe, is a Dirty Pair phone card, I think. Let's see. I think this was a Dirty Pair phone card that I did not... No? Alright. This is a Dirty Pair phone card. This is one that I already have one of. This one is my second one. This is a dupe. But I picked this one up because phone cards are usually fairly expensive, but this one, for whatever reason, was relatively very cheap. So that's why I picked this one up as a duplicate. Moving on to yet another order. I do hope that this sort of show and tell is interesting to at least some of you that are watching. I imagine that's probably why you're watching. Let's see, what was in this order? I happened, while I was just thumbing through the Surrogate website, I happened to discover a selection of organizer pouches, organizer binders, and I discovered that they were really cheap. This one is one piece. It is a zipper pouch with a number of pouches inside it. This was, it was like $5, maybe it was less than $5. I don't know if I will actually use it, nor what I might use it for, but I figure it was kind of interesting and it was really affordable. I thought it was even more neat that I found one just like this with the Clo book. This is the Cardcaptor Sakura Clo book. Again, it's a zipper pouch. Again, this was something like $5. So I figured that, yeah, that's, I think it's just pretty neat. So I'll pick those up. This is another item that I picked up just for my own collection. This is the Hentatsu DVD with the Dojinshi. This is the hopefully some of you are aware, Tasuke is the independent animator that created Kimono Friends. He also created Hentatsu. This is his independently produced and published Hentatsu Japanese DVD with Dojinshi. I like Hentatsu. I like Kimono Friends. This was under $10. I figured just to have it in my collection. This is, I believe, my second copy of this Dirty Pair school notebook. These don't turn up very often. They're typically not super expensive, but I just simply like collecting Dirty Pair merchandise. These are vintage. This one was, I think it was under $10. I think this was like $8, something like that. Just because it's an older item, you don't see them very often. Yeah, I figured I would pick this up. This particular issue, this is, yes, through Mangarake I got the first issue of Kame Dengeki Gaio. This is also an issue of Dengeki Gaio. It's sealed up pretty well, so forgive me. I'm not going to open it right now. However, the reason why I bought this particular issue is because I think possibly this issue might contain the first chapter, you could say the first appearance, of Marasui's manga Ichigo Marshmallow. Unfortunately, in my limited research in Japanese, it has been extremely difficult to figure out which issue of Dengeki Gaio contains the first appearance of Ichigo Marshmallow. I think possibly it's this one. This does say somewhere, yes, down at the very bottom there, that the last title there is Marasui's Ichigo Marshmallow. So maybe this contains the first chapter. If it doesn't contain the first chapter, then I will at least know which chapter is in this one, and I might be able to determine which issue before this one does contain the first appearance. However, I am hopeful that this is the first appearance of Ichigo Marshmallow. If for nothing else, it is still a cute Yotsuba cover, so I'm happy to have this regardless. This particular issue of Shonen Jump This one was fairly affordable. This one was something like $15 or $20. But this is the first appearance of Masakazu Katsura's DNA 2 manga. Um, you have to be somewhat old school to remember DNA 2. However, if you're any sort of follower of mine, if you're still watching this video, you're probably an old school anime fan. You've probably been around for a while. So you probably do know what DNA 2 is, or you remember what DNA 2 is. So when I found this available, even at a moderate price, yeah, I'm still willing to pay $15-20 to have this. This one is a bit heavier, so let's see what's inside this one. Actually, I believe, for reference, I think Surga actually got in a copy of that Shonen Jump issue with the first DNA 2, and it sold out before I was able to buy it. But then unexpectedly, they got another copy. So that's the one that I was able to acquire. Okay, yeah, a couple interesting, hopefully key manga in this order. As I've now mentioned several times, I tend to, when I can, affordably pick up Japanese releases of select American comics so that I can possibly sell them. I have a couple copies now of the first volume of the Japanese release of Todd McFarlane's Spawn. I do not have a complete first printing yet. This is, let's see, which printing is this? This looks like it's a second printing. This is a second printing. You can tell from the indicia inside. Moreover, a complete first printing has an obi with a picture of Todd McFarlane in the corner. I do have a first printing, but my first printing does not have the obi. I am a big fan of Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda's American comic series Monstrous. However, because Sana Takeda is a Japanese artist, I think it's interesting to have the Japanese language edition of Monstrous. Now, I am a big enough fan of the ongoing Monstrous series that I have multiple complete sets. I believe the comic series is right now up to, I think it's issue 58 is what it's up to now. And I believe I have a minimum of 3 copies of every issue of all 58 issues, plus the Talk Story spin-off issues so far. But because I'm such a fan, yeah, I thought it would be really interesting to pick up the Japanese language versions of the collected Monstrous trades. This is my second copy of the Shonen Jump containing the first appearance of Kagurabachi. For comparison, I think I have 3 copies of the Shonen Jump with the first appearance of Kimetsu no Yaiba. So to keep pace, I might actually consider picking up one more copy of this. Maybe. I still don't know really almost anything about this manga, but at this point, I'm actually reserving judgment until the anime comes out later this year, in which case I'll just sample it then. But I think, I simply don't know. Nobody can predict the future. It's possible that the Kagurabachi anime might be something like Mission Yozakura Family, or Masho, or Elusive Samurai, or Undead Unluck, which doesn't really take off, Or it could be something like Kimetsu no Yaiba, which does become an international sensation, and the first appearance goes up to $75 to $100. Or it could turn into, for example, the next Shingeki no Kyojin, in which case the first appearance is $1,000 to $2,000. So I really don't know. So based on that speculation, I wanted to have at least a second copy, just in case this does turn into a big smash hit and this book does end up shooting up in value. So if this shoots way up in value, I don't want to slap myself and say I wish I had bought one or more of them when I had the chance, when they were affordable. So that's why this is my second copy so far. Maybe my second of multiples, but so far just my second copy. I paid a little bit more than I wanted to for this issue of Shonen Gangan. I ended up paying around $50 for this copy. This issue of Shonen Gangan is the first appearance of the Hamlin no Violin Hiki manga. In other words, this is the first appearance of Violinist of Hamlin. I really, really love the anime. If any anime deserves a remake, it is Violinist of Hamlin. I'm not as familiar with the manga, but I've never seen a copy of this available anywhere for sale before. Now, I know that in Japan, this book is a lot cheaper than $50, but I thought to myself that if I were at a convention somewhere, for example, and I saw this for $50, I wouldn't hesitate to buy it. When I consider the $50 including the shipping, yeah, I don't mind paying that price to have this in my permanent collection. And to be completely honest, I don't even know what this is. Clearly, it's a Shonen Jump issue, but I wonder if they sent me the wrong one, or I don't recognize this cover, so I don't remember why I bought this. Let me flip through this really quickly. There's Black Clover. I'm not sure what that is. There's Hinomaru Zumo. I think, there's Haikyuu. Not sure what that one is. There may be some Psyche Kusonyan, but I know that's not the first appearance. There's World Trigger, but I know this is not the first appearance of World Trigger. I probably would have bought this issue because it is the first. There's Shokugeki no Soma, but I know this is not the first appearance of Shokugeki no Soma. I would have bought this because I thought it was the first appearance of some manga title. There's Gintama, but it's not the first appearance. Promised Neverland. Oh, I think I did order the magazine that contains the first appearance of Promised Neverland, but I wonder if Surrogate sent me the wrong issue. Because the issue with the first appearance of Promised Neverland has that on the cover. This is obviously Kochikame and not Promised Neverland. So either I ordered this issue by accident or Surrogate sent me the wrong magazine. So I'm not sure on that one. Well, let's keep taking a look at what else is here and see if that issue with Promised Neverland shows up. Because if it does, then, well, if it does, I'll be happy. Because I think I only have one copy of the first appearance of Promised Neverland, so I'll be happy to have a second copy. Alright, well, stuff's getting in the way, so let's just... What is this? Oh, alright. I did mention that I had forgotten exactly what I ordered. Alright, so apparently I do now own 3 copies of the first appearance of Kagurabachi. Okay. I guess these were really affordable. So 2 more copies of... Yeah. Alright, both of these are, in fact, the Japanese edition. So I know that these were affordable. I know that these were fairly cheap. Pull the tape off. So, yeah, 1 set for my personal collection and 1 set possibly to sell. What else is in here? I usually dislike paying more than about $5 for Shikijiki. If they're old, if they're very collectible, I will usually go up to about $10. This one I went double on. I paid about $20 for this Bubblegum Crisis Shikijiki. Now, anyone that knows older, like Golden Era anime will be familiar, or anyone that knows Bubblegum Crisis will be familiar with this image. I believe I have this image on a wall poster, but I have never seen this image on a Shikijiki before. So, for as long as I've been collecting anime, the fact that I've never even seen this Shikijiki before made me decide that, okay, I'm willing to pay $20 to own this one. This particular issue of Shonen Jump, if I recall correctly, this is the first appearance of Boa Hancock. I believe I have 1, maybe 2 copies of this already, but I was able to pick up another copy very affordably. I believe that this is a binder for clear files. I don't remember... I believe this was a store-exclusive release. I don't remember which store. But it was, again, it was something like $4 or $5. And nice quality binder. It has pages inside to hold clear files. Just a neat addition to my collection. And I will put clear files in it. And what all do we have here? Okay, wow, alright, that's definitely smaller than I anticipated. Wow. Okay. Some stuff here. This, hopefully you'll be able to tell, is a plush Nyanko Sensei. Now, I don't know if the camera can tell. Perhaps if the camera can't tell, the camera can tilt up a bit. And you can see my plush pair of Nyanko Sensei up there. But this was another small plush Nyanko Sensei. I hadn't seen one like this. I just love the character, so I figured I would pick this up. This is a clear binder for coasters. If you watched my previous video, you'll know that I picked up a stack of coasters through Mandarake for the Dancing Blade video game. So I figured in order to display them, I should display them properly. So I spent, I think it was like, I don't remember how much this was. I think this is a little bit expensive. This was, I think, $8, which feels a little bit expensive, but you can't get something like this here in America. It's 520 yen plus tax retail price. But yeah, I wanted to pick up a Japanese binder to put drink coasters in so I could display, personally, my collection of Dancing Blade coasters. Now, I expected this to be a little bit bigger than it is, but when I found that there was a Megaforce Japanese book available, all about Megaforce, I thought, oh, good lord, I must have this. Now, I am disappointed because this was $20. So at $20, I expected something a little bit more substantial than a literal tiny pamphlet. But considering that there isn't very much Megaforce merchandise out there, and the fact that this is just neat, I'm hopefully still happy to have it. I will recommend, folks, if you are a fan of G.I. Joe and you've never seen Megaforce, do yourself a favor. Megaforce was a, 1983, 1984, 82? Like, it was an early 80s kids action movie. It's basically a bootleg. It's basically an unofficial G.I. Joe movie. It's corny, it's cheesy as all hell, but that's why I absolutely love it. And Japan loves that movie too. Okay, so in this order, what magazine was this? Since I'm doing this off the cuff, I admit I don't even remember the name of this particular manga. I'm going to embarrass myself if I try to remember the name. This particular manga, this Western girl, it didn't last very long. I believe it probably got canceled because it wasn't hugely successful. However, I just did the art design. I did this cover. This issue was fairly affordable, and this is the first issue, the first appearance of the manga. So I wanted to pick this up for my personal collection. Ponpoko, Shikijiki. I've mentioned before, I'm not a thoroughly devoted... Collecting Shikijiki is not my primary collection, but I do like collecting Shikijiki, and I did not have one from Ponpoko. This is actually not for me. This is for a friend. This is a set of 8 clear posters. These are Evangelion. This, you can see, is the Unit 1. I believe there are 8 of them in here with the main characters and a couple of the mecha. This was, I think it was $20 for 8 of them, so the price is very affordable. So I've got this as a, you could say as a, no, 10 of them. There are 10 of them in here. I think this was $20. So yeah, the price makes it really affordable as a thank you, sort of nice guy gift to a friend of mine who really loves Eva. And last, but I'm going to say not least, I hope. And I don't even fully remember what was in this order. Okay. So let's see. Okay. I think at one time, a couple weeks back, Surga was having a discount sale on toys. So that's why I ordered a bit more. I don't even, now that I see this, I don't even know who or what this is exactly. I might have to do a little bit of research on what this is. Maybe. Yeah, it's a maid girl with a metal collar. I thought this figure was cute. It was really, really affordable, so I decided, what the hell? This is a set of tiny gachapon motorcycles. A friend of mine has a very devoted girlfriend who loves Japanese bikes, scooters, motorcycles, weird Japanese cars. This set, I believe these were Lawson convenience store exclusives. This entire set was, I think, like $20. So as a gift to my best friend's, or one of my two best friends' girlfriend, I picked this up while it was on discount sale. Also, because she loves both motorcycles and cats, I picked up this little gachapon. You probably can't tell, but that is a cat riding a scooter. So she loves cats, she loves scooters. When you combine them, I picked up another copy of this issue 14 of Comic Gamist. If I recall correctly, this is the first Anywhere in the World comic appearance of Vampire, Capcom's Vampire. In other words, Darkstalkers. I believe that's what this issue is. One of the reasons I made this order was to acquire this, quote, life-sized Binchotan coin bank. I believe this is a coin bank. It might just be a vinyl figure. It normally comes in a plastic bag with a hang card. This one specifically was taken out of the original packaging. I say life-sized in air quotes because in the original manga, Binchotan's size varies depending on the illustration. But I am a big fan of the character Binchotan. So when I found out that this figure was available, I really wanted it. Since toys were on discount, I picked up a figure of Momo from Dandadan. I think this was something like $10, so really affordable. And I am not, I think I mentioned before, I am not collecting all of the Nanachi figures from the Made in Abyss manga anime, just because a couple of the Nanachi figures are very expensive. But I am trying to get all the Nanachi figures that I can afford. So that's why I picked up this one, with her looking uncharacteristically cute on a pool inner tube. So that's what I picked up lately. I do have another Surrogate order coming in, but I may open that one myself. I may save that for a future video. If you're still watching this, I hope I've kept you entertained. If you have any comments you'd like me to read, if you have any questions or thoughts you want me to see, I admit I am not very active on social media. I typically don't look at YouTube comments. So if you want me to see it, I encourage you to just send me an email directly. I hope this video has entertained you for a few minutes. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.